What if every grueling adventure your father ever forced you into was actually preparing you for the worst day of your life? At just 11 years old, Norman Olstead found himself stranded 8,000 feet up in a frozen mountain after a plane crash killed everyone around him. No gloves, a broken hand, and a storm closing in fast. This is the real life story of a boy who hated being pushed until those lessons became his only lifeline.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Dead or Survive. And I am your host, Rob Riches.
I'm your other host, Cheryl Riches.
How have you been? Feeling better?
I am, yeah. I finally have a little bit of energy left. That was the worst part for me, as I was tired all the time.
So, if you're not sure what we're talking about, we were both tested positive for COVID. Kind of got lucky, I guess, compared to some other people. Like, well, A, we didn't die,
Yeah.
but B, what? I don't know. It was like a flu. Like
Yeah,
I don't know.
It
I
was
was only a couple days. Cheryl was.
it was
about
pretty
4.
short-lived, except for the tiredness that hung on for a while.
And you can probably tell that we have a little more energy doing it this
Yeah.
time. So last time the podcast was like, yeah, we're doing it just because.
I would rather be dead.
I don't know about being dead, but yeah, I'd rather be sleeping or doing
Yeah.
something different.
Yeah.
So, anyways, we are COVID survivors.
That's funny. That's funny.
Well, it's true.
It's true, but I think that the Omicron isn't the one that was like wiping people out. So we got lucky with the Omicron, right?
Yeah. And like I said, I mean, with everything going on in the world and everybody else that has been hit with it, like it sucks that, people have passed away and stuff from it. However,
Yeah.
we can only do what we have learned and move on from there and try to continue to do what we can to keep everybody safe,
Yeah.
happy, and keep progressing forward without our masks and
Yes.
opening stuff up and getting the economy going and getting people out there and starting to live life again and get the mental health going again, because I think that took a huge hit as well.
Ooh, we got some good mental health today, didn't we? We got some sun, all that vitamin D.
I put on over 1,000 kilometers on the bike this weekend, and I'll tell you, the best ride I ever had was Saturday.
You shut your face. Shut your face.
Why?
Because you're just going to say that because I wasn't there.
So not only were you not there, I got to cruise at whatever speed I wanted.
Yeah.
I got to go into the bends as hard as I wanted.
Oh my God. He hit a railroad so hard today. I'm pretty sure he was trying to throw me off the back. It was so hard. How do you bash your elbow on the back of the motorcycle? I don't know, but it happened. That's how hard he hit.
Wuss.
No.
Wuss.
No.
See, that didn't happen Saturday. Did I hear any complaints about how I drove on Saturday? I got to go to the restaurant that I wanted to eat
I
at.
think I got like 5 seconds of airtime.
And then I got to go to the restaurant I wanted to. There was no, I don't know, what does it have this option? Do I have this? The restaurant I wanted. I went to a couple flea markets, wandered around, stared at every Batman item there was, purchased it was probably the closest I can get to heaven.
Yeah.
And then today I reached out to Mama Wilson and Papa Wilson and see if they wanted to go for a ride. So they came down from Hamilton, and we rode all over the place, followed the coastline.
Yeah, you've got quite the raccoon look going on right now.
Better than the strawberry look you got going on.
It was so nice out today. So nice. It was like 26 degrees.
I got a new shirt, a new Harley shirt, again, because you weren't around to say no.
Anyways, I'm sure they don't want to hear about our fun and games on the motorcycle.
Why? You don't know?
They're here for the good stuff.
Yeah, but the Darwin Awards after your story.
Oh, yeah.
And with the downtime at the house, we got the whole yard raked up and cleaned up.
Yep.
Got most of the, I think, 40 or 60, 100 pounds of dog poop.
Yeah, that was fun. That was a highlight of my week.
Yes. Well, we're stuck at home, couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
And started to get all the Batman stuff out of the basement.
Yeah, we're now sitting in the Bat Cave. We're podcasting from the Bat Cave.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the Bat Cave, Dead or Survive. What have we got in here? You think I got 1,000 stuff in here? 1,000?
I think, yeah.
Easily.
Yeah. It's like every where you look, there's something.
There's 4 walls in here, and we got 2 huge cabinets, and I have everything full, and I still got another 30 items probably to put up.
Yeah.
And that's not including the other stuff that I found, and I'm still missing a box of
Well,
comic
and then
books.
you bought more on Saturday.
You shut your face. There you go. That's where you should shush your face. Don't you worry about what I buy in my Batman store. However, so it's kind of cool to have my Batcave back up and running, but I do have a bunch more stuff to get up yet. I haven't even got I got a big Batman comforter. I haven't even got it on the bed yet. Oh well, lots of time. Got the Christmas lights up though. Batman Christmas lights.
Yeah, on the inside of the Batcave, not outside.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're not crazy.
Yeah. Your mom bought me those.
Yes, she did.
Anyways, enough about the Batcave, enough about everything. You got a story for us?
I do, yep.
Is it a good story?
It's not my favorite story so far, but it's a good story.
How long before they get raped and mangled?
Nope, not this time. Maybe next week.
What?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So you got a story.
I have a story.
You stole stuff out of the
Yeah,
garage fridge.
One of your Miller Genuine Draft.
That's the visitor's beer fridge. So if anybody ever wants to come over and visit, you better come quickly because she's now back into the garage now that it's warm and my beer fridge is getting annihilated. And the cold, she doesn't like going out there. It's too cold to get to the fridge, but it's starting to warm up. So just heads up, if you're coming to visit, you better be doing her soon because the fridge is emptying quickly.
Yeah, or bring wine.
Yeah. All right, you got a story?
I do.
You got your drink?
I do.
Let her rip it, Chip.
Okay, I am going to tell you about Norman Olstead Jr. Sounds like a la-di-da name.
Well, there's 3 names in there.
Yes. No, he's not a serial killer. No murder, no rape. Not this time. Norman was born on May 30th, 1967, to Norman Sr., who was a lawyer, and Doris Olstead. He was raised in Topanga Beach in Malibu, California. Yeah. Do you remember Topanga?
Wasn't that from Boy Meets Girl?
Boy Meets World, yeah. I always thought that was a cool name. Anyways. He was kind of forced into surfing and competitive downhill skiing. So, I know.
You were spending your days at the beach, young man, and you're going to learn how to surf. No, don't make me.
I know, right? I have a really hard time feeling bad for him, but he would bitch at his dad all the time, like, because he resented losing his childhood. Like, his dad was pretty demanding. I will say that he was like highly competitive in the surfing and skiing business, but Norman Jr. just would like complain a lot, saying that he wanted to play with the kids, like his friends, or like get on their bikes or whatever, right?
Okay, well, as long as he was getting outside, then I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
If he was just complaining because he's sitting in front of
No, it's back before video games. Yeah. No, but he'd be like, "Oh, there's a birthday party this weekend or whatever," and he couldn't go because his dad was like, "No, you got to get ready for whatever competition that's coming up." So, anyways, that was his life. His father didn't get that. He just needed some downtime sometimes. He became a competitive hockey player. The skiing I already got into. He won the Southern California Slalom Skiing Championship at age 11. And Norman Sr. called him the Boy Wonder.
So he's trying to take over a Batman thing. Trying to call him Robin?
I guess.
Boy Wonder? What?
So that would make Senior Batman?
No, that makes Senior dead, actually, because Robin's parents died.
And Robin was Batman's son. I do know that.
Well, yeah, but that's way, way down there.
Yeah.
That wouldn't have been around in 1967.
Oh, okay. Norman lived much of his early life at his mother's house with his mom and her boyfriend, Nick. Nick drank a lot and yelled at Norman, punishing him and getting into fights and hurting him sometimes. Norman tried to avoid Nick by spending time with his dog, Sunny, or down a canyon near his house where he had made a fort, or at the house of his unofficial godmother, Eleanor Kendall. This is all neither here nor there. I'm just giving you a little bit of background on him.
So basically, he had a crappy home life. His parents separated, and he was wandering around trying to keep himself safe.
Right, and his dad's pushing him into things that he didn't like. It was good for him stuff. Like, it was good for him, right? He was outside and whatever, but Norman did very well with his skiing. So when he won a trophy for the junior U.S. ski team, And Norman Sr. chartered a Cessna on February 19th, 1979 to go pick up his newly won trophy. So yeah, these guys are like money, right? Who charters a Cessna? I won a ski trophy. Okay, let's go get it. Should we drive there? No, let's fly. Anyway, I find that a little bit amusing. On board were Norman, his father, his father's girlfriend, Sandra Cressman, and the pilot, Bob Arnold, who was also a flying instructor. And actually, Norman Sr. was learning how to fly at the same time, so I'm not sure if he was flying it at parts or not, but anyways. They were flying into the St. Gabriel's Mountains, and they were about 10 to 15 minutes into the flight when they flew directly into a blizzard. Everything disappears from Norman Jr.'s sight. Norman said that all the windows were gray, you couldn't tell up from down, left from right, and pretty soon a limb flashed by the window, and I thought, well, this is him speaking. Well, it's a trick of light or something. It's funny because limbs aren't up in the sky. And then maybe a few seconds after that one, another one, and then I knew we were about to crash.
There's no trees up here.
Yeah. Well, he's
not just playing games.
Right. He's 11, right? He can hear the screams of the other passengers. Norman curls up his body and he screamed, "Watch out!" And then the plane flew into a tree and it crashed into the mountains. Norman lost consciousness, and when he woke up, he starts yelling for his dad, saying, "Dad, I can't breathe." And he finds that his father and the pilot have died. Norman says that he tried to wake up his father, but he couldn't get a response. The plane had been torn apart and it was hanging over an ice chute. Norman had a broken hand. Sandra was alive, but had a badly dislocated shoulder and a head injury.
And who is Sandra again?
This is Norman Sr.'s girlfriend.
Okay.
Yeah. So now 11-year-old Norman is 8,000 feet in a blizzard on the mountains. His father has just died right in front of him, and his father's girlfriend is injured, and it sounds like she was kind of a basket case. Like, Norman ends up telling her what to do here. Like, she's not quite with it. She had a head injury, so it could be that she had a concussion.
Yeah. Just in shock, right? So
yeah.
when you go in shock, your body just does weird things.
Right. Yeah. To make matters worse, it was just supposed to be a quick flight up and then back. So Norman didn't even
have a 3-hour tour.
I bet you it was. It doesn't say that. But Norman doesn't even have a pair of gloves.
Which just dated me horribly.
Yeah.
But it's a really funny show. I actually just watched an episode on the weekend.
Yeah.
Which is
for 7 hours, they huddled under the wing of the plane, and Sandra's in a complete panic state. And 11-year-old Norman had to take charge. I kind of got into that already. The storm was getting worse and it was getting colder, and he knew that it was going to get dark soon and they wouldn't make it through the night. So Norman realizes that they need to get out of there or they're going to freeze to death.
So they're still in the plane at this point?
They're under the wing for 7 hours. They were under the wing.
I thought it was hanging off of like an edge or something.
Well, I guess it was the other wing then. Yeah, they were just sheltering themselves from the storm. Sandra didn't want to leave, but Norman insisted. So he grabbed Sandra by the hand and they start the descent from 2,600 meters of altitude. Norm had to support Cressman, Sandra, who could barely walk. They were climbing down a steep and icy slope when she slipped and fell on an ice chute and she fell to her death. No.
You didn't help her at all.
No, she didn't. Right? So now he's just watched somebody else die. Norm says that her eyes were open, but she wasn't able to respond. So by the time the rescuers found her later on, she had died. Now Norman is completely alone. But instead of going into a complete panic mode, he realizes now that he doesn't have to try to save Sandra anymore. He just has to take care of himself. So that kind of a burden was gone, and it made it easier for him to get down the rest of the mountain by himself.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it made it easier for him. I think mentally.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but that's what he said. He said that it was, obviously he was upset, but in one way he was better off because he didn't have to be a nurse at the same time.
True.
So Norman carefully starts making his way down through the freezing air. The skin on his fingers came off in the cold, but he said he never panicked and he was never afraid because everything that his father had taught him helped sustain him. He said he started remembering all the times that he had complained to his father, and his father would say, "You're going to thank me for this one day." And he realized that, yeah, This was the day that he was going to thank his father for all of that. So he had about 2 miles to cover before he would find any kind of civilization. So about for half of that time, he slid down that mountain with a stick. So, but every time he'd start going too quickly, like he was on his butt sliding down, and every time he started going too quickly, he'd stick the stick in the ground to slow himself down.
He was like a brake.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he made himself into the first GT snow racer.
Yeah. Probably. They weren't invented yet for sure.
I know,
Yeah.
right?
At one point on his descent, Norman said a helicopter flew overhead and he stood to wave. He said it looked like they saw him, but they just kept going and they never came back. This, of course, was discouraging, but his father had taught him to never give up. So he just kept repeating that kind of mantra to himself, never give up, because that was something that his father would tell him all the time. Eventually, after 9 hours of climbing down the mountain, he found a meadow where he found footprints. He followed the footprints to a road where he met a teenaged rescuer. The rescuer carried him to a nearby house and called for help. Norman suffered from cuts and bruises and a broken right hand, but other than that, he was fine.
Really? Not even frostbite?
No, well, it said his skin came off, but no, it didn't get to the frostbite point, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah. All right. Conspiracy theories might like this. Conspiracy theorists might like this a little bit. It didn't say that this was a conspiracy, but I read it and my ears perked up a little. Norman Olstead Sr. was a former agent of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and he wrote a book critical of the Bureau. Then Norman Sr. claimed that the FBI started a claim to discredit him, so he sued the Bureau. He then settled the lawsuit against the Bureau and collected $10,000 in legal fees, and the FBI promised to purge his personal file of any improper material. So I'm not saying, I'm just kind of saying.
So they purged it all right. It's all taken care of.
Yeah. Anyways, that is the story of Norman Olstead Jr., 11-year-old adrenaline junkie, climbs down a mountain after a plane crash.
So now, by us telling this story and opening it back up, is the FBI going to look into? I mean, we're not even in the United States. That means we could be in CIA territory.
That's true. Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh boy, what have you done? That's not good.
No, didn't that seems odd to me? Does it not to you a little bit?
I guess. I mean, there's a whole lot of things that seem odd, and sometimes when you get into it, you could really get into.
Yeah. I'm surprised that he was even allowed to write a book about being in the FBI.
Yeah, I guess it probably depends on what it was actually about. Did you get the book and read it?
No, I sure didn't. But it said that it was about being part of the FBI, and some of them, it said how they made mistakes or whatever. It was saying bad things about the FBI, about when he worked for them. It was saying bad things.
Yeah, but is it bad things like, oh, they screwed up a case this way, or they mishandled information, or they shouldn't have killed the JFK.
Yeah, I'm sure it wasn't that. But
you see what I'm saying? You understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
You can say that this company's bad,
or they served stale donuts. I don't know. I didn't read the book, obviously, but it just made my ears perk up, like I said.
Oh yeah, anything that does with the FBI, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, somebody dies. I guess, especially after they've had a lawsuit and all that stuff.
Yeah,
they should go.
Yeah, yeah.
I wonder.
All right, so I had a short story today.
Yeah, why?
Well, I stole another.
Oh my God. See what you guys are doing, because she is not getting any emails.
I stole another listener's email. I didn't write down where I got this one from. I should have.
Oh, that's it.
That's all right. I'm going to do it anyways. All right. So this guy was writing to wherever, but we're going to pretend he was writing to me.
Everybody close their eyes. It's story time. Just imagine. Play along.
A pregnant drunk lady called an ambulance. I was working with a junior colleague, but a female one. The patient said that she thought she was in labor, and she was sitting on the floor, legs open, knees bent, with a blanket over her lower part. There was a small table next to her, a glass wooden coffee table thing. My colleague asked to examine her, and for some reason she got angry and insisted that I examine her, not the female colleague. After a bit of back and forth, I knelt down and went to lift the blanket to have a look, but there was a sudden crash. My colleague had put her foot through the glass table and was standing on the patient's hand, which had a huge knife in it. Turns out she wanted to stab a paramedic, and when we turned up, she chose me.
What? I'm just going to wait. No, not a doctor, not a nurse. I'm going after a paramedic.
Yeah, my colleague saw it just in time and saved my life. The patient already had several children who were in care and had fetal alcohol syndrome. I was asked for a statement when the baby was born, and it was also taken into care. She got away with the premeditated attempted murder on grounds of mental health. Yes, that's my story. That's where it ends.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a good thing that his colleague was watching, and it's a good thing that she did it under a glass table and not under something that would have hit her hand better, or else he would have been pooched.
Yes. Well, I'm so glad he wrote in with that story for you.
It was nice. If anybody else would like to write in with a story, they can do that, and I'll read it too.
Oh boy. See what you guys have turned her into? Somebody else out there other than Michelle must have a story.
It doesn't have to be about murder either, because that's all I seem to find when I'm stealing stories is attempted murders.
Maybe that's because that's all you look for. I don't know if you know this or not. There's this search engine called Google, and if you put in like survive a car accident, I'm sure you would find a car accident without seeing murder.
These ones are good.
Because murder sells just like sex and alcohol and puppies. Well, I guess if that's all you're going to give us,
That's all I got.
I have to fill in the rest.
You sure do.
Well, that's not very good. I don't have very long stories either.
Well, I'm sure it'll work out in the wash. It'll be fine.
Well, you're just going to have to ramble on about a bunch of stuff to make up some time. Can we go back to
Isn't that what we do like every week?
You ramble, I come up with important statistics and information and background researches on the stuff that you're talking about. And if I don't know what you're talking about, I put a laptop in front of me and I try to figure out what the hell you're talking about. Anyways, so do you remember a long time ago, way back at the beginning of this podcast, months and months and months ago, I did a story about a gentleman that was out on his ski-doo.
Yes, I do. But hold on, I just wanted to say, because you've already touched on this a little bit, this is our 6-month anniversary.
Today?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow's 6 months?
Yeah.
We've been doing this for 6 months? Do I get to buy myself a present?
You did yesterday. Okay, sorry. Carrie,
Well, happy 6 months to us.
Yes.
You don't think that should have been done at the beginning, maybe? Like, hey,
well,
6 months?
It works when it works.
Okay, whatever. Now I don't remember. Oh, yes, sorry. So remember, and he took the booster cables out in the water.
I remember, yep.
Yes. Okay. So, similar story.
Okay.
A Johnny in the Ukraine on May 25th, 1999. He was a fisherman, and he electrocuted himself while fishing.
Well, how did he do that?
Well, he was at I don't even know how to pronounce this, Terrebly. It's Tereblya.
Sure, sounds right. Terrebly.
Terrebly River. Johnny, who was 43, connected cables to the main power of his house.
In a boat?
Oh, his house.
Oh, okay. You said he was fishing. Okay, so he was like...
have a house by the water. Honey.
Right, okay. He was...
That's allowed.
I was picturing him in a boat.
Okay. Well, get out of the boat.
I'm out of the boat. I'm on a dock.
He's at his house. He's taking and wiring main power from his house.
Okay.
And then he trailed the ends into the river.
Was he trying to fry the fish?
Yes. So this electric shock killed the fish, which floated belly up to the top of the water. Then he decided to wade into the water himself.
He didn't take the...
Nope. This is why they're Darwin Awards.
Oh my God. Times though, but sometimes.
So he waded in to collect the fish.
Like, how do you even wrap your head around that?
Neglecting to remove the wire and tragically suffered the same fate as the fish.
Give him the benefit of the doubt.
Let me finish my story. You know that?
I know. But for a moment, it worked. He had an idea to get a bunch of fish, and it worked. He was smart enough to do that. And then he fucking walks into the river.
Language. Yes. I don't know. Here's another question. If he was going to walk into the river, why wouldn't he have like rubber waders on too, right? At least then that would, like act as a barrier or something.
Yeah, I don't. Like, I just can't wrap my head around it.
Yes. So here's another one. So this is kind of tied into it. So that's why I brought it in. So Again, a man was fishing for a morning meal. This was to commemorate the first anniversary of his mother-in-law's death.
God.
So I don't know if he was celebrating or if he was mourning. However, on January 9th, the China Post reported that a 23-year-old Pingtung man, Johnny,
Mhm.
died after eating fish that he poisoned.
What?
Yes.
Okay, why did he poison the fish? To kill it?
So they were in the nearby ditch. Yeah, the fish were in the nearby in a thing there. So he thought that he would put chemicals in the water to kill the fish, and then that way he could take them out and eat them, not thinking that the chemicals would go into his own
Oh my
bloodstream.
God.
What is it with fishermen?
I
Like,
d-
how desperate? Like, I don't know about.
I
I
think
used
it's
to
the
do
mercury.
the mercury from the fish in the water. I don't know what it is. All I know is that whenever I went fishing, like, we took a worm and a hook and we threw it in the water.
Yeah.
If we got really fancy, we got lures. Never once.
The lures never worked anyway.
Never once. I picture that. Remember Crocodile Dundee 2?
Yeah.
He's out in the bay and he's lighting off.
Oh, the dynamite. Yeah.
Throwing it out in the water, the fish thing. Like, just get a fishing pole and a hook. Why?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know what's going on with fishermen, but
yeah, I don't know. Like,
rent a boat. Do what we did. Like last summer, we took a buddy of ours out for a fishing trip, and we just chartered a boat.
Yeah.
They almost guaranteed you were going to catch
Oh
fish.
yeah, like it was just fish after fish.
And it was fun.
It
and
was.
nobody died. We didn't
Yeah,
have to hook up
yeah.
power. I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyways, so yeah, that's how you fish basically if you're a Johnny in the Darwin Awards. So they may not have won the awards for fishing, but they did get their shiny Darwin Award.
Well, good for them, I guess. That's one way to get it.
Now, here's a story that's near and dear to my heart.
Okay.
Because it reminds me of you.
Oh. Should I be concerned?
No, but you know how we like to do it ourselves around here.
DIY, yeah.
DIY. And sometimes I say to you, well, we need this tool or we need this. And you're like, wow, we can just jerry rig this up or we can just do this ourselves.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, this is probably where we should spend some money.
Guilty.
So, Johnny, a 65-year-old retired man in Florida, wanted to save money. He's retired. He didn't want to do anything. But he needed his tree chopped down.
Oh, that's probably not something you want to cheap out on.
So instead of hiring a professional to come and do it,
yeah,
Johnny decided he had his own chainsaw and he tied it around his waist.
He tied a chainsaw around his waist?
Yeah.
Oh, this doesn't sound...
So he could get on the ladder.
And please tell me it wasn't running.
Wasn't running then.
Okay.
But he gets on the ladder.
Okay.
Climbs up to the ladder and starts buzzing off the branches.
Yeah.
But as one branch fell, the lip of the chainsaw kind of caught and it kicked out.
Okay.
So then he dropped it. Chainsaw hit his leg because it was still running and he didn't shoot it. And then 3 days later, his buddy came over and found that the wrestling match he was having with the chainsaw, he lost.
3 days he was in the tree?
No, on the ground.
Oh.
Yeah, the chainsaw won.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes.
I thought you had to hold that bar or something or they turned off automatically.
That's what I thought, and I don't know if he jerry-rigged it or if it was an older one or not, because I know when you let go of like my chainsaw, if you let go, it stops spinning or it'll spin slowly, so I don't know if it got stuck in his leg and he was trying to get it out or what happened.
What happened? What was cut off?
It just said that his buddy found him in a mess in the backyard. Oh. So that's why I don't understand. Like, I'm with you. I don't understand. Like, that's all it goes into for details. So I don't know, like he was dead, obviously.
Yeah. Well, if you're up a tree and there's a chainsaw in your leg and you're trying to pull it out and it's still going and you fall out of the tree, like it could have been the chainsaw that killed him, but it could have been the fall.
Yeah, it could have, but they said he was cut up pretty bad. Well, actually, I guess it just said they found him in a mess and that he lost the fight with the chainsaw.
Oh.
So that's why I was going with the chainsaw running, but maybe you're right. Maybe, like I said, there wasn't a video to see.
Yeah.
Or anything like that.
Oh, thank God. That's not something I'd want to watch.
So I did a little research on that. Occupational Safety and Health Administration reports that more than 250 people die annually from chainsaws.
Wow. I guess you could bleed out really quickly, really, like depending on what you cut.
Yeah, and that's like that's not like when I was reading about it, I thought, well, maybe they dropped a tree on them or a branch or fell. That's just being injured by the chainsaw.
Damn.
And thousands more are injured from chainsaws.
Wow.
And stuff. But I know there's a couple times when I've been out there and it kicks up on you and stuff like that. It pulls out and it almost hits your leg. And stuff.
Chainsaws make me nervous. That might be because of all of the horror movies I watched growing up, but I've always been kind of nervous.
So if you need any trees, reach out to them. But him being up there, but he's same thing. He's got the chainsaw hanging beside him, right?
Yeah.
But the difference between him is he's trained.
He's trained.
And he had the proper equipment.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure his chainsaw would turn off if he wasn't holding the handle down.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? But people get up there. So here's something I accidentally forgot to tell you about my last story, the fishing story.
Uh-oh.
So I meant to bring this up when sorry guys, I was going through my notes and I was looking at the occupational stuff and I forgot. So there is arguments on my last. So I try to tell you guys that all my stories are true. You can go look them up if you want to Google man dies from chainsaw, cutting branches and stuff. You can find all this stuff. Same with the other one. Look up Gone Fishing if you want to get the story. That's where it is. But at the bottom of it, I was reading some comments, and there's actually, since you want to throw your little conspiracy theory
okay.
There's a big debate on whether actually you could electrocute yourself or not in a lake.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they're saying that the way it would disperse, like if a big lightning bolt hit right beside you or something like that. But people are saying that it's got to be a myth and that it can't happen. But for it to qualify as a Darwin Award, which it was in the Darwin section, it's supposed to be true and can happen. But there's a big debate on whether. Well, so I don't know. I'm not.
But that's not your first story where somebody electrocutes himself in the lake.
Right, but I don't know if it's because he was holding on to the booster cables in the water and that electrocuted him. But they're saying that the debate was saying that no, you couldn't put electrical wires in the water
because it would just disperse.
The fish. They're saying and kill the fish
because it would just go too far.
There's not because it's not like a bathtub where it's all condensed, right? The lake it would spread out or something. So it's kind of interesting.
That is interesting.
If anybody knows or has a theory or has anything on there, let me know. But there was I meant to bring it up. There was quite interesting little debate on that.
So it was a murder.
It could have he murdered himself. Or maybe his wife murdered him, and
maybe it's usually the spouse.
And he thought it was, and then she went, he electrocuted.
And they were like, "Yeah, Johnny was pretty dumb.
He did run electrical wires out to kill fish." It was interesting, yeah. And then they got into I read some of them, but I didn't get into it. They were saying that the minerals in the water and salt content, and some of these guys got really in depth.
Wow!
Then I'm like, well, this is going to blow my Darwin story.
Maybe it was more like a small pond.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it was just interesting that there was that debate. Yeah. So I thought I should mention it in case somebody says to me, that's not true.
Yeah.
It may not be true. And I looked it up. It classified as a Darwin for him doing that, but it did bring up an interesting subject. Can you so if there's anybody else there who wants to be mentioned in my podcast, maybe you could go try this out, write down notes on what you did, and then if you die, I will tell your story.
And if you survive,
Cheryl will tell your story. So that's the way you can interact with our podcast.
Don't do that. Please don't do that.
And Dead or Survive is being sued right now. I forgot the world that we live in. When kids are eating Tide Pods. I just got to really clarify myself, don't I? Anyways, that's our stories for today. So now our call to action. Please.
I'll keep stealing stories, guys. I'm not too proud.
Yeah. If you do have any stories, because you're tired of Cheryl stealing them, you can write them into
deadersurvivepodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get some other emails. We do get emails, so we know the email's working.
Yep,
it does. I haven't got any viewers or listeners, so if anybody out there wants to, please send it in. We will definitely talk about it, bring it up. No new countries this week, but we're over 20 countries listening to us now, so that's exciting.
It is.
It is our 6-month anniversary, so that's exciting.
Whoop whoop.
And we're closing in on episode 25, where I told you guys we would have some special news for you. So make sure you're listening for next weekend.
Oh boy, now the pressure's on.
That's on you. You got to deal with this. And that's all I've got. Thank you for everybody that is listening. Our numbers are still going up. We still haven't hit 72 yet.
We'll just keep at it.
But they keep growing, so please keep telling your friends. Like I said, even if your friends or anybody doesn't we're not proud. You can just put it on and throw it off to the side. You don't even have to listen. It all counts. I mean, If you want to get several different devices in your house doing it all at once with the volume down, I'm okay with it. Really, I am. I'm not a proud person. What?
You can set other people's Alexas to.
Yeah, and if you're at a party and people are drinking, just sign them up and hit follow, right? Get into their phones. It wouldn't be the first time we've done it. There's people out there following us. They don't know. Why do I get this notification every week? I don't even know what this is. All right. So now it is time for the ending, which is
the dad joke.
That's right. So is dark spelt with a K and not a C?
Because you can't see in the dark.
Yeah.
I got one. I got one.
I knew it was too easy. Boo. Stupid joke. I don't like it.
That's a good one.
No, it's not. It's stupid. What do you call a sleeping cow?
I don't know.
Bulldozer. Yay!
Oh, you already told me that one. I can't believe
it. I don't care. See, I already told her and she forgot about it. She hid her own Easter eggs last week too. It was awesome. She put them out, forgot where they were, they went look for them. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Dead or Survive, 6-month episode. And thank you again for everybody listening, taking all your time, sharing it, telling friends about it. We do appreciate it.
Thank you, and bye.